Saturn, devouring his son. Most people think this is a mythological scene, a dramatic story about gods, but Francisco Goya didn't paint this for anyone to see. He painted it directly onto the wall of his dining room, the room where he ate his meals every day. The year was 1820. Goya was 74, deaf, and living alone in a house locals called La Quinta del Sordo, the house of the deaf man. He covered his walls with 14 paintings, no sketches, no commissions, no audience. Just a man painting his private nightmares onto plaster. Saturn fills the entire frame. His eyes are blown wide, not with rage, but with something closer to terror, like he knows what he's doing is wrong and can't stop. His knuckles are white. His fingers dig into the torso of a grown human body, not the infant from the myth. Goya changed it. The victim is adult-sized, already missing the head and one arm. The stump is ragged. There's no clean mythology here, just consumption. The myth says Saturn ate his children because a prophecy told him one would overthrow him, so he ate them as they were born. Goya keeps the fear, removes the grandeur. What's left is a creature destroying what it created because it's afraid of being replaced. Art historians have spent 2 centuries arguing about what Goya meant. Some say it's Spain devouring its own people. Some say it's time consuming everything it produces. Some say it's just a man in his 70s losing his mind, painting what he saw when he closed his eyes. The painting was never meant to leave the wall. After Goya died, the plaster was cut out, transferred to canvas, and put in the Prado, where it has hung ever since. The Nightmare. Henry Fuseli painted this in 1781, and within months it was the most talked about painting in Britain, not because people admired it, because it disturbed them in a way they couldn't explain. The setup is simple. A woman lies draped across a bed, her body limp, her head hanging off the edge. Her face is slack, not peaceful, but vacant. On her chest sits a small creature, compact, dark, crouching. It stares directly at the viewer. Its expression is something between a smirk and a blank. Behind the curtain, a horse's head emerges from darkness. Its eyes are white, no pupils. Fuseli was painting sleep paralysis before anyone had a clinical name for it. The experience had been documented for centuries across cultures. A presence in the room, a weight on the chest, the inability to move or scream, and almost always a figure watching. Medieval Europeans called it the mare, an evil spirit that rode sleepers. That's where the word nightmare comes from. Not a horse, a demon. The creature on the chest is the incubus, a demon believed to sit on sleeping women and cause disturbed dreams. The horse, the mare, peers in from the other dimension. The woman can't move. She can't scream. The viewer is watching something happening to her that she cannot defend against. What makes it disturbing isn't the monster. It's the intimacy. She's completely vulnerable. The incubus is completely comfortable, and it's looking at you, not her. Fuseli reportedly painted it after being rejected by a woman named Anna Landholm. Whether that's relevant or not, he kept a copy of it in his bedroom for the rest of his life. The Scream. You already think you know this one. A figure on a bridge, mouth open, hands pressed to the face. Orange sky. It's been on mugs and phone cases and Halloween costumes, which means most people have never actually looked at it. Edvard Munch made 4 versions between 1893 and 1910. 2 paintings, 2 pastels. The one most people recognize is the 1893 version. Munch documented exactly what happened in his diary. January 22, 1892. He was walking with friends near Oslo on a road overlooking the fjord when he stopped. His friends walked on. The sky turned, in his words, blood red. He felt an infinite scream passing through nature, not coming from him, coming through him. He was the instrument, not the source. Look at the figure again. The face is not human. The oval skull, the hollow cheeks, the absence of hair, it resembles a skull more than a person. Some researchers believe Munch was referencing the Peruvian mummies he'd seen on display in Paris, their preserved faces locked in the same configuration. Others note that a volcano, Krakatoa, had erupted in 1883, and for months afterward, the ash in the atmosphere turned sunsets across Europe a deep, unnatural red. Munch may have been painting a sky he actually saw. The 2 friends in the background don't react. They keep walking. Whatever Munch experienced on that road, he experienced it alone. That's the actual horror of the painting, not the open mouth. The fact that no one else stopped. The Lovers. René Magritte painted this in 1928. 2 people kissing. Their heads are wrapped entirely in white cloth. You cannot see their faces. They cannot see each other. On the surface, it's romantic. 2 figures, close together, lips pressed through fabric, but spend 30 seconds with it, and the feeling inverts. They are kissing someone they have never seen and will never see. The intimacy is total. The knowledge is zero. Magritte never explained it directly. He rarely did, but the biographical context is inescapable. When Magritte was 13 years old, his mother drowned herself in the Sambre River. When her body was recovered, her face was covered by her nightgown, possibly by the current. Possibly she'd covered it herself. Magritte was there when they found her. He painted the Lovers 16 years later. The cloth in the painting is not threatening. It's soft, white, almost gentle. That's what makes it unbearable. These aren't people who have been muzzled or blinded by force. They have simply accepted that they will never fully know the person closest to them, and they lean in anyway. Of all the paintings in this list, The Lovers is the only one with no monster, no corpse, no open mouth of horror, just two people, fabric, and the thing Magritte understood better than most, that we are all, always, kissing someone whose face we cannot see. Dead Mother. Edvard Munch painted this in 1900. Most people who know Munch know the scream, the open mouth, the red sky, the bridge, but this one is quieter, and it's worse. A child stands in the center of the frame. She faces the viewer directly. Her hands are pressed against her ear, the same gesture as the scream, but smaller, more private. Behind her on a bed, a woman lies completely still beneath a white sheet. The sheet is pulled up over her face. Munch was 5 years old when his mother died of tuberculosis. His sister Sophie died of the same disease 9 years later. He watched both of them go. He painted Dead Mother 7 times across his career, not as tribute, as compulsion. The same scene, slightly different angles, slightly different light for decades. The child in the painting is not crying. That's the detail that stays with you. She's pressing her hands over her ears as if she's heard something she needs to unhear, or as if she already knows that sound is about to stop, that the room is about to go permanently quiet, and she's trying to brace for it before it happens. The mother's face is completely hidden. The child's face is completely visible. That's the composition. One person is left. One person has to stay and figure out what comes next. Munch was that child. He painted this 31 years after his mother died. Christina's World. Andrew Wyeth painted this in 1948. At first glance, it looks peaceful. A woman in a pink dress lying in a field, looking up toward a farmhouse on a hill. Sparse, quiet, the kind of American pastoral image that gets printed on calendars. Then you look at her arms. They're wrong, too thin, positioned at angles that don't match resting. Her left hand is clawed slightly into the grass. Her body is twisted at the waist in a way that suggests effort, not leisure. She's not lying in a field. She's crawling toward that house. Christina Olson was Wyeth's neighbor in Cushing, Maine. She had a degenerative muscular condition, likely Charcot-Marie tooth disease, that had paralyzed her legs since childhood. She refused a wheelchair her entire life. Instead, she dragged herself across the ground, using her arms across fields, across floors, wherever she needed to go. Wyeth watched her from a window one afternoon, pulling herself across the field toward the farmhouse. He painted exactly what he saw. The house in the background is her house. The barn is her barn. The figure in the painting is Christina, though Wyeth used his wife Betsy's body as the model because Christina, by 1948, was 55, and he felt her actual body would distract from the image he was trying to capture. The distance between Christina and the house is approximately 300 feet. That is how far she dragged herself, regularly, by choice. The painting is not about tragedy. Wyeth said that himself. It's about her determination. But knowing the facts doesn't make the image easier to look at. It makes it harder. Because now the clawed hand and the twisted waist aren't artistic choices. They're accurate. The Son of Man. René Magritte painted this in 1964 as a self-portrait. A man in a suit and bowler hat stands in front of a low stone wall. Behind him, the sea. Above him, a cloudy sky. In front of his face, hovering at exactly eye level, a green apple. It's one of the most reproduced images of the 20th century. It's also one of the most misread. Most people treat it as a visual joke, a man whose face is hidden by a fruit. But Magritte was precise about what he was doing. He said, "Everything we see hides another thing. We always want to see what is hidden by what we see. There is an interest in that which is hidden, in which the visible does not show us. The apple doesn't cover the face by accident. It covers it exactly, deliberately. And if you look at the painting carefully, you can see the man's eyes just above the apple's edge. He can see out. You cannot see in. That asymmetry is the whole point. Magritte called it a self-portrait, which means the man in the bowler hat is him. The apple is everything he chose to place between himself and the world, his public face, his persona, the thing that is visible instead of the thing that is real. He painted this 3 years before he died. By then, he had spent 4 decades making images that looked simple and felt wrong. He understood something specific about visibility, that showing something clearly is not the same as revealing it, that the most effective way to hide is not to conceal, but to replace. Put something in front of the face, make it obvious, and suddenly no one looks for what's behind it. Ophelia. John Everett Millais painted this in 1851. It took him 11 months. He considered it the most technically demanding work of his career. Every plant in the painting was identified by botanists: willow, nettle, daisy, violet, poppy. Each one chosen deliberately, each one with a meaning. Ophelia lies in a stream, partially submerged. Her dress billows around her. Her arms are open, palms facing up. Her eyes are open. Her mouth is open. She is singing, according to Shakespeare, as she drowns. She has not yet gone under. The model was Elizabeth Siddal. She was 19. Millais had her lie in a bathtub filled with water for weeks during the London winter of 1851 to 1852. He placed oil lamps underneath the tub to keep the water warm. The lamps went out one afternoon. Siddal kept lying there in cold water because she didn't want to interrupt the session. She developed severe pneumonia. Her father threatened to sue. Millais paid the medical bills. Siddal went on to marry Dante Gabriel Rossetti. She suffered chronic illness for the rest of her life, likely worsened by that winter in the bathtub. She died of a laudanum overdose in 1862. Whether it was accidental or deliberate was never determined. The painting is meticulous. The flowers are botanically accurate. The water reflects light correctly. The fabric behaves the way wet fabric behaves. All of that precision in service of depicting a woman in the exact moment before she disappears. Millais spent 11 months on the plants and the water and the dress. Siddal posed for the face. The woman who modeled drowning went on to die young in circumstances that were never fully explained. That's the painting. That's what's underneath it. If you like this, subscribe for part 2.